neighborhood. Sometimes we see pursuits where they go miles and miles all across Southern California. This is the exact opposite. He's staying in the same confined little area back on Avalon, making a left turn. So, again, if this wasn't someone who was armed and dangerous doing this, I think we would have already seen this person get spike stripped. Making a little bit of a dangerous maneuver there. Didn't stop at that right red turn. Speed's picking up a little bit. We'll see if the nature of this pursuit is going to change at all, as we're now back on Vernon Avenue. Again, it's been a very common location for the duration of this chase.
And Desmond, when you had that wider shot earlier, you could see the officers in pursuit snaking around behind this pursuit vehicle. And it's any wonder, I almost thought at one point in time, making those right-hand turns, that he might actually double back on some of those officers. You see a number of squad cars there, but at one point in time, probably taking a right-hand turn. And when he took that other right-hand turn, he could have very easily almost lapped a cruiser in front of him, because that was how many officers were following him behind. At least it looked like 3 or 4 units, and now it looks like there's that one, and then a number of them kind of on the perimeter. But here we go again, just kind of going in a great big rectangle pattern over and over and over again. And we see this very often, Susie, sometimes, as we think that maybe the driver knows this area, but doesn't know it enough to not go any farther than just kind of in a circle.
Sure, and we've also seen people, calling people while they're circling around their neighborhood, trying to get into someone's house, someone they know possibly, if they are from this area, trying to let someone maybe, open the door for them and get inside and hide.
Maybe to bide some time, which is appearing to be the situation here. Well, it looked like he went to the left of that tow truck, Desmond. At one point in time, I thought maybe he was going to hit the back of it, but he was able to avoid it. What type of car is this, do you think, Desmond?
Let me see if I can get that for you, Jeff. Yeah, he was briefly on the wrong side of the roadway. I believe this might be either a Honda or a Toyota. Hopefully I'm going to get a text from one of my car guru friends who knows these models so much better than me. But this looks like, I don't think I would call this an economy car, kind of maybe a mid-sized sedan that is involved in this. And yeah, Jeff and Susie, it may just be buying some time at this point. Sometimes we see these suspects just trying to buy as much freedom as they can. If they need to make a couple of last calls, maybe they need to call a lawyer, something like that. Maybe he is trying to call a friend to see if somebody will let him in the house or something like that. Now coming back northbound on Grant, so we're right by the 110. Okay, now we're actually coming on the freeway. This is good news for us as he comes northbound on to the 110. Yep, getting on the freeway right now. Northbound 110, so headed towards downtown LA. We'll see if he's going to actually exit this area or get right back off the freeway. That's what he did earlier. He was very briefly, just before we got on the pursuit, on the northbound 110, but got off almost as soon as he got on. Only, I think, was on for about one exit. So he will be approaching the interchange with the 10, and then he's going to have a decision to make, and then a decision for LAPD as well. Just speaking from experience, when LAPD is dealing with the pursuit of an armed and dangerous suspect, I'm thinking that they're going to stay on this one and not hand it off to CHP. I know that was the case with the famous marathon pursuit that we had a couple of weeks ago that went 6 hours plus. That was an armed and dangerous suspect that lasted all the way into Ontario for the duration, and LAPD did not want to hand that off to any other agency. So that's my suspicion anyway, as we continue northbound on the 110, making our way into the heart of downtown LA.
If you're just joining us here on KCAL9 News Today, this is breaking news. The LAPD in pursuit of this white sedan. We believe it's perhaps a Honda or maybe a Chevy, small sedan. We were in the LAX airspace just a minute ago when we first started this pursuit, and we are no longer. We're on the 110 freeway now, going northbound into downtown LA. That's where we're headed. We picked it up in the south central area around Grand and 40th, not far from where we were just a minute ago, and that's where they were for the majority of the pursuit. On surface streets in South LA, going in circles into parking lots, coming out. Some close calls actually with other cars, but not driving too erratically or with much speed really. But we do know that this person is very possibly armed and dangerous, and that is the big alert that police have right now, and they certainly want to get this guy because of that reason. Maybe wanted in a shooting, as Desmond was talking about, and we are northbound on the 110 freeway. It looks like they're picking up some speed.
Yeah, this appears to be maybe a Chevy Cruze. Don't hold me to that, but that appears to be the bow tie logo in the back. This may be a Chevy Cruze as it's putting its brakes on. and it appears to be going off of the 110. Where are we going to now, Desmond?
Yeah, you know what, Jeff, you're right. Just when you said that, I got the text as well from my buddy. This is a Chevy Cruze, it looks like. Yeah. It appears we're going eastbound on the 10. Okay. So as we get away from the heart of downtown LA, we'll continue to follow this, and this will be heading towards the East LA interchange. Eastbound on the 10 as we cross Maple Avenue. We will put the speedometer up for you right now and show you that we haven't seen the really crazy driving. He was going the speed limit on surface streets, and he's just about the speed limit, maybe a little bit over right now as he's on the eastbound side of the 10. Now just kind of driving aimlessly. He had been hanging out in that same tight neighborhood the entire time, making me think that he wanted to ditch the vehicle and run into a home or something, but that did not happen. The thing is when you're driving in the same area and you have a predictable pattern like that, you're giving LAPD the opportunity to get more and more officers to the scene. And we were seeing how they had officers on just about every street that this guy was on. So wondering if that's why he decided to suddenly get on the freeway after being on surface streets that entire time. So here we are eastbound on the 10, just crossing San Pedro. That was another street that we were seeing the pursuit on earlier, and pretty soon, even at the speed limit here, we will be at the East LA interchange.
Seems like somebody might be trying to figure things out. Now, we want to say this was a Code 6 Charles, which Desmond was talking about being armed and dangerous. And of course, Susan, we know if there is any sort of weapon involved, police obviously will not let this person go. They'll follow this person, but they will practice a lot of precaution, because knowing that somebody was possibly involved in a shooting, armed and dangerous, if they do have a weapon, they can not only harm themselves, but police officers and the general public as well. Yeah,
and we don't know yet if there's another person in this car either. I remember that pursuit a couple weeks back when we were covering the one with another armed and dangerous suspect. For the longest time, we didn't know, and there was actually a passenger just going around that car right there. And as you can see, the police...
wrong side of the road here.
Oh boy, that's the first time we've seen that happen, but it looks like they're getting a little bit more desperate perhaps.
Yeah, that was almost a head-on situation. I don't know how that car was able to put the brakes on, but they did as they're crossing the apex of that intersection. And we've seen that in the past, cars going so fast that sparks fly up as they go over those intersections. Not the case here, as we saw maybe doing highway speeds on the highway, but here probably 35, 45 mile per hour zone. It appears to be well within the speed limits at this point in time. And you even mentioned earlier, almost stopping kind of a California Cruze through there. But Desmond, you did mention they were, at least had the frame of mind earlier to use their turn signal when they were making those turns.
Yeah, and things are changing a little bit now. Now he's rolling through stop signs. You saw him go on the wrong side of the roadway there a couple of times. So as this chase goes on, it does seem like the suspect may be getting a little bit more desperate here as we continue southbound on Naomi. And again, because of where we're at, we're going to have to keep this one kind of wide. So we'll see if he just how far south he goes, and kind of right back to where this all started, back into South LA, east of the 110. He was around surface streets like Vernon, 46, Grand, San Pedro. That was, we heard all those streets multiple times, Main Street as well, and headed kind of right back to that area now, as it looks like they're on 28th Street. So not quite as far south as he had been, the Chevy Cruze. Lower speeds, but we have seen some desperate maneuvers getting on the wrong side of the roadway. A known suspect here, armed and dangerous. And it looks like he's making 7 warrants. All right, my pilot Elijah is telling me that he just heard from the LAPD chopper that this person has 7 warrants. Wow. So, including possibly an assault on 2 police officers.
Oh boy.
We're now hearing. So this is all preliminary information, but this coming to us from the airship overhead. They're letting us know. So, yeah, they really know who this guy is, and now you see that this guy knows that he's for sure going away. I know sometimes there's speculation about, sometimes these guys don't spend a lot of time in jail. I can tell you, if someone's got 7 warrants and 2 of them are for assault on a police officer, this guy knows that he's going away for a long time. So he's doing whatever he can, maybe to just get, like I said, the last few moments of freedom here before the inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking armed and dangerous, possibly 7 warrants out for his arrest, including an assault on 2 police officers, possibly. I mean, we're talking, big trouble here. So obviously they want to get this guy, not only because of that, but because of what could possibly happen if they're still armed. Obviously, they want to take every precaution as they normally do with situations like this. When they hear armed and dangerous, we're talking about, being really careful. And as Desmond was talking, some of the tactics that they might use in other situations in pursuits, perhaps a pit maneuver or using spike strips. I mean, that just changes the whole story when we're talking about someone armed.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why they would not give this up to CHP for that short time that they were on the 10 and the 110, Susie, because CHP, obviously, if they do get involved, they would hand this over to LAPD, but LAPD is the lead agency on this. Possibly those 7 warrants have to do with an assault on a police officer being an LAPD member. So they're going to follow this all the way through to the end, would be my prediction as we continue to follow this story here. LAPD pursuit, this is happening in downtown right now on surface streets. Armed and dangerous suspect wanted for 7 warrants. One of those included assault on 2 police officers. We knew that this was a felony warrant at one point in time, possibly a shooting involved as well. As we continue to look here at LA's latest police pursuit, as make the right-hand turn and another quick left-hand turn. And boy, Susie, we're really seeing this driver getting more erratic as this pursuit gets longer and longer.
It's true, and as they hit these surface streets again and again and returning to where this pursuit started, it does make you wonder, does this person really come back here because they are familiar with the area? Oftentimes we see these pursuit suspects doing so because they're able to evade police faster, or if they know a shortcut maybe through an alleyway. But boy, this is getting really dangerous, going up to, I mean, how fast are we going? This is so fast on surface streets, Desmond.
Yeah, 50 miles an hour, Des.
Yeah,
especially with it being dark, too.
Yeah, Jeff and Susie. Yeah, you can see there where we got up to just about 60 miles an hour there briefly on in one of the alleys there, and then he did blow through another red light. So it is definitely getting more and more dangerous for the public as the pursuit goes on. And, he's really been hanging around a lot of these small residential streets as well, streets that are narrow, not very well lit, just comes blasting through a lot of these streets. So it is definitely beginning to imperil people in the area. The driver of this Chevy Cruze been going in a lot of alleys. See if if he ends up making a wrong turn somewhere, or I don't know. I'm definitely thinking that he knows this area very well. He must be very, very familiar with this area, that he hasn't taken any wrong turns, that he's been going down these alleys and just the streets that he's been taking, probably knowing that he's not going to run into a dead end. As he goes towards the 110, there are a lot more dead ends. Of course, not every street goes through the freeway there, but notice that, when he was in this area, he knew where he could go get over towards Grand and get right on the freeway there through that red light.
Stopping
pretty close
traffic.
to a lot of people with LA. It seemed like he thought he was going to be able to get some distance from the cruiser, and that's why he sped up, and he did briefly, but there's so many units in the area here, and they know exactly where he's at. They're all calling out the location to each other, so all of the officers in the neighborhood know exactly where this guy is. So it really doesn't. They did it. Okay. So we were wondering if they were going to use a spike strip, and my pilot Elijah is telling me that it sounds like they actually may have done a successful spike, that they believe that they got 2 tires out of it. That must have happened outside of our shot. So that is some good news, if indeed that is true. Good, at least that it's going to really cut the amount of time that this guy can run. But bad that if the rubber comes off of the tire and he keeps driving like this, it's going to be hard for him to keep control. So it looks like there were some more officers there. Right there. Maybe they were trying to do another spike strip. So kind of surprised that they know that this guy is armed and dangerous, but they still have some officers out there with spikes. I think what they do is they try to get their vehicle situated to where they can hide in front of the vehicle, so that they're not putting themselves in harm's way, and then throw the spike out there, or they may even be able to get another officer out there that's carrying a shield, so that keeps them safe from if this armed and dangerous suspect decides to use his weapon while the officers are right there. But it sounds like we did have a successful spike strip. We'll see how much longer he can keep going.
I'm just thinking, when he goes in these alleys like he is right now, you just wonder if they're trying to find a place to ditch the vehicle and to get out. We know this car is disabled, but Susie, I gotta tell you, I'm a little surprised because this vehicle seems to still be performing.
I mean,
and
possibly 2 tires out.
Yeah,
Doesn't look like it just yet, right?
I would assume it'd be the front 2 tires. They run over that. This is a front-wheel drive vehicle, so maybe that has a little bit to do with it, but it still appears that he's taking a left-hand turn, is in control at one point in time, even though they did deploy the stop sticks, and we think that he went over it. He was at one point in time, Susie, doing 60 miles an hour.
On these narrow surface, dark streets where people could be out right now walking, you know, outside after dinner. It's very scary to watch this just because of the sheer speed and getting so close to these cars. There are a lot of close calls when you ran through those red lights. Making a right turn now, and again, the updated warrant on this, assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. So we're definitely talking about someone who is armed and dangerous right now. Police officers obviously want to get this guy. If you're just joining us here on KCAL9, this started in the South LA area. It's a pursuit around Grand and 40th. Not far from the northbound 110 where they were for just a minute, and then it continued on surface streets in South LA. They've pretty much been going in circles and into parking lots, through alleyways, some close calls with some other cars, but not driving too erratically until now, actually. This person is armed and dangerous, possibly wanted in a shooting, but we do know that they do have 7 warrants out for their arrest, including assault on 2 police officers. They were on the 110 freeway for just a minute again, not too long ago. Then on the 10, then they exited onto surface streets, and that brought us back to South LA. And that's when they started blowing through red lights and driving fast on these surface streets.
I think he's going through the exact same route that he did a few moments ago. It's making me dizzy because he just took a right turn back over the crest there, took a left turn at one point in time. And this is basically deja vu, because this was happening just about 3 or 4 minutes ago. We're right along the same route. He will take a right-hand turn when he gets up to this main street. At least that's what he did before. Let's see if he does it again. There he goes. So he's kind of a creature of habit behind this wheel of this vehicle. 7 warrants, including assault on 2 police officers that we know of. And Desmond Shaw is overhead in Sky 9. Des, what's the latest that you're hearing?
Yeah, well, it's possible too. I just heard some murmurs that this may have involved an officer, may have something. One of the 7 warrants may have something to do with an incident involving an officer-involved shooting that happened in Torrance. Not exactly sure when that happened, but that's maybe another wrinkle to this. So we heard that there was basically an assault on a police officer. That was 2 of the 7 warrants, and then another one. That may be the shooting that we were hearing about as well, the known shooting suspect. So, he's the longer he goes in this pattern, and we already saw LAPD willing to get out there and use the spike strips once, makes me think that they're probably gonna try to do it again if they can get the other tires. Once you successfully spike all 4 tires, then obviously it's really just going to be a matter of time. I mean, if you only have 1 or 2, these can still drag on for a pretty long time. But if you've got air coming out of all 4 tires, then it's going to be over sooner rather than later. But you look at, there was an attempt right there, right on cue. Unfortunately, the officer was just a little bit late there. So you see the officers, they're driving all around. Every turn we make, there's officers posted up right there, and they're kind of stalking the suspect from other streets, paralleling him. And then once they see an opportunity to get out there, it's just so difficult. It just involves so much timing to get out there. There you see, what we hate to see, a pedestrian out there getting, social media coverage with their phone. Looked like he was making a recording and got way too close to the pursuit there. And the longer this goes on, especially in a neighborhood, the more of a spectacle this becomes, unfortunately. So back out onto San Pedro Street. Hopefully we can get some more successful spike strips as, I mean, it's almost like he's asking for it, just, driving in this exact same pattern. He continues to drive it.
Right, and that's just, just talking to what Desmond was just talking about, I mean, really, it's surprising that this person will do this because, I mean, the more familiar his pattern or the way he's traveling it becomes to police officers, obviously, they have more tactics and strategies to deploy. When he went on the freeway, obviously it's impossible to do something like that. But right now, it looks like he's coming to a complete stop.
Yeah, get ready. Something's going to happen.
First time we're seeing this. There's a neighbor out there on the corner there?
Somebody,
maybe he was talking to somebody.
Somebody is with 7 warrants like this is going to face a lot of time. So we often see with as many warrants as this person has, they have a reluctance to give up so easily because they know they're going to go to jail for a very, very long time. I just wonder if that's a situation that we're dealing with here. As it appears, Desmond, he seems to be kind of scoping out these corners, coming to a stop. And there was somebody, Susie, in the front yard. I don't know if they were talking to them or if they had maybe phoned them at some point in time, but we've been around this area in this neighborhood over and over and over again. So it wouldn't be uncertain. Well, there's somebody to the left actually taking video with their phone. You can see that. But this has obviously drawn a lot of attention. So Desmond, as we take a look at this vehicle, it seems to be driving about normal speeds now. We think that the spike strip was successful. Any word on if they can try to deploy another one?
Well, we saw them out there moments ago, Jeff. They did try to get out there again. I'm sure that there will be another attempt at the rate this is going. But, like I said, now the longer this goes on, now look at all of the people that are coming out to watch this. I'm listening. Okay, I was just listening to what LAPD is saying. Now, they may be walking back the shooting suspect warrant. It sounds like they may be gathering more information on this person, but it sounds like at least 2 of the warrants still stand with the assault on police officers. So this is a developing situation, very fluid with this person probably communicating with different agencies. 77th is talking with Central, is talking with Newton, and they may all have different things written down about this suspect. So there's bound to be some, almost like a game of telephone. Some things may come across differently as time goes on, but we know that we still believe that there are 7 warrants for this person with assault on a police officer, and just continuing out here, it just seems to be content to make a big spectacle of this. The longer it goes on, the more and more people that come out. They see the sirens going by their house, not once, not twice, but 10 times now, and they come outside and want to get video for social media or what have you, which is the last thing that LAPD wants to see. And if they're not going to use a pit maneuver to shut this down, hopefully they can get another spike strip going here. We see units stopped pretty much everywhere, but it's also kind of complicated when we start to get lots of people out here coming to watch what's going on.
Sure,
slowing down.
Yeah, it looks like the spike strips, maybe they worked. Maybe that's why he's slowing down. It's unclear right now. Sometimes they'll do that to taunt police. Sometimes they'll do that because their car is incapacitated, who knows, or it's slowing down for whatever reason. But it looks like still going in circles. And again, you wonder why this person stays in this area, right? Are they calling people? Are they letting people know that, I'm in the area? Why not go to a different area like a freeway and try to get away from police? But obviously right now with the two possibly front tires out, who knows? This could be just a way to just stall, right?
Yeah, I was going to bet a right-hand turn there, and that's what happens. It appears that this driver, Susie, wants to go around and make these right-hand turns in this neighborhood area here, kind of making a rectangle, if you will. This is the 3rd or 4th time I remember this intersection coming up in this pursuit just within the last 10 or 15 minutes here on KCAL9. So this driver is just biding time, doing whatever they can do to figure things out. It would be best, obviously, if they just pulled over, throw the keys out the window, put their hands up, and then everybody be safe. But we're in a situation here where we're following this. This is a Code 6 Charles suspect. That's police talk for armed and dangerous. 7 warrants for the driver behind the wheel of this Chevy Cruze, this white vehicle, 4-door small sedan you see there in the middle part of your picture. Those 7 warrants including assault on 2 police officers. We think possibly out of Torrance. And Susie, what do you bet? Right-hand turn? No, left-hand turn.
Left-hand turn.
Just shaking it up a little bit, I guess.
Shaking it up a little bit, but still in the same area, in the same neighborhood that we've been for the past, about 30 minutes or so.
I don't really see any. I mean, it looks like those front tires could be flat, and he could still drive. I mean, with front-wheel drive, they're going to be able to get traction with those front tires, even though they're flat. But it almost seems to me that they're going slow enough that I would think that maybe some of those spike strips did disable those 2 front tires.
It's like
Jeff and Susie, I am now hearing actually that all 4 tires are flat. now at this point. So that's first we knew that there were 2. Now we're hearing that it's 4, and as I got in really close there, as close as I could get, it does look like all 4 are flat. So it's really going to complicate things for him as he starts to slow down and start back up again and then make turns on 4 flat tires. It's really just hopefully a short matter of time. Of course, we've seen some of these go on for a long time, a shocking amount of time on flat tires, where he might even have one of the tires where the rubber falls off and then he's going on a rim, 3 flat tires and a rim, and then the rim is kicking sparks up all over the place. So just because you have 4 flat tires, it still takes some time for that rubber to disintegrate, and then I would think once he loses 2 tires completely for sure, where the rubber is completely separated and he's on 2 rims, that is probably going to be what it will take to get this suspect to finally come to an end. I'm just thinking back on so many pursuits, including, we've got to reference the marathon pursuit, where that guy had flat tires for probably 2 hours and continued to go stop and go, stop and go, stop and go on the 10 because he was going so slow. Even though the tires were flat, it took a real long time for that rubber to actually rip off of the rim, and then he, it wasn't until I think the rim fell off and came down to the brake caliper when the car was finally disabled for LAPD to move in on that one. So it's certainly a good sign that he's down to 4 flat tires, and it should certainly prevent him from getting up to any dangerous speeds. But we sure hope that he doesn't try to accelerate and then make a turn at high speed on 4 flat tires.
Yeah, and you see
but
that
basically the spike strips have done all they can do, and just have to see how this plays out.
Well, let's hope that this is not a 7-hour pursuit, because that would put us well past midnight, because this didn't really start until just about a little after 8 o'clock. So if that was the case, we would certainly be here, of course, if it was 7 hours long. But we're crossing our fingers and hoping that that would not be the case, as this driver here on 4 flat tires. And Susie, as I see these intersections, they're becoming increasingly more popular with onlookers and people coming out to look at the spectacle of this latest pursuit here in LA by LAPD.
It's true, and unfortunately, when they do spike strips, it's not a total blowout of the tires as we might imagine, popping the tires. It's actually a very controlled deflating rate, if you will. So, it's kind of a waiting game right now, obviously, for police officers to see when this guy is going to slow down and when those tires are going to give out. And as they drive slower, obviously, that's going to happen maybe later. Maybe that's why he's driving so slow.
Yeah, I got to think that he's losing a little bit of control. He can't go that fast. But now it's interesting. We're getting the stop and go, like we've seen so many other times in pursuits. And Desmond, we're coming to an intersection. He stops. This is something new. We see this behavior every now and then. Not that we think that these people follow what other suspects do in these pursuit situations, but this is almost what we see on a number of pursuits, is kind of stopping and then starting and then kind of slowing things down. Police get out, open up the doors, and then Desmond, we see they take off.
Yeah, just kind of taunting officers, I think, at this point. I mean, it's not, I don't think he's stopping because it's a red light. We've seen him go through quite a few red lights at this point, but you see him stop, the officers get out of their vehicle, weapons drawn, and then he takes off again. And I really am starting to see a lot of parallels now with the marathon pursuit. There was also an assault with a deadly weapon that all took place on freeways. This is taking place almost exclusively on the streets, and you saw it kind of looked like he had a little difficulty there making a turn because he is on 4 flat tires. So maybe the rubber is finally beginning to separate from the actual wheels of the car. As we're back on 46th Street, I think this is probably the 12th time that we've been on this particular street, one of his favorite streets. If he's maybe he has friends that live here, he's trying to get their attention. We already saw him stop and look like he was talking to someone who was out on their front lawn. It certainly looked like there were words exchanged. That was one of the first times we saw the suspect coming to a stop. Ooh, whoa, that was really, really close there. That guy was just backing out of his driveway and didn't see this guy coming, and I think he might have had trouble braking because of the whole flat tire effect. So even though he can't get to the high speeds, it's still pretty dangerous for people out here because this guy can't control his car perfectly.
Well, imagine being in that neighborhood, Susie, where you're sitting there and you're trying to watch TV or have dinner, Here it is, just over and over and over again. As Desmond said, it might be the 12th time they've gone 46th Street in South LA. I mean, this is just happening in this neighborhood, and you can imagine the noise with the helicopter and with the sirens and just driving around in circles for what is now almost an hour.
Yeah, you can kind of see the wobbly driving, right? You can see the tires giving out a little bit and kind of harder to control his car there. But obviously, police officers, they really want this person. This pursuit suspect is wanted on multiple warrants, including assault on 2 police officers. It's unclear what exactly happened. It might have been an incident out of Torrance from the past. We don't know how long ago that happened, but if we're talking multiple warrants, we're talking a long rap sheet right now. So this person is going to jail for a while, and I think they're just tasting some freedom while they can.
Well, especially with assault on police officers, that's a serious charge, and you're going to go to jail for a long time. And that, again, may be the reason why we see this person prolonging this, Susie, because we know if they know they're going to go to jail for a long time, they get that last taste of freedom, they'll draw this thing out as long as they possibly can. But we certainly have seen that before. And
maybe in their own neighborhood, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some support there, and driving through their own neighborhood, certainly there's familiarity there with knowing which way to go and what to do. But boy, you can really see those tires. Des, I got to think it's getting down to just the nubs of the rubber, because it looks like it's right a little bit lower than it was even about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think either we're just waiting to see the actual, rubber give way and rip off of the wheels here. It's looking like it's definitely going to happen soon. Especially as he tries to accelerate away from a stop. It puts a lot of pressure on that rubber that's right up against the asphalt with no tire in it, or rather with no air in it, I should say. So yeah, he's definitely beginning to struggle, just obviously trying to drag this out as long as he can, and in the same neighborhood he's been in the entire time. And we'll see, if I'm kind of curious if SWAT will have to get involved or something, just because this is an assault with a deadly weapon suspect that's going, for a really long time. And I would be surprised if, when this car finally does give out, if this guy just sits in his car and refuses to cooperate.
Yeah, you just wonder. Let's just reset here. This all started in this very area, actually. We picked it up in the South LA area around the top of the hour, around 8 o'clock. And this came in as a call of an assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. And we've been going through the streets of South LA for quite some time now. This person has been going in circles for the most part. They've been driving into parking lots, had some pretty close calls with some other cars, and perhaps talked to a neighbor who was out on the corner of their street. And that's all been happening. For the past half hour or so. They've just been driving on surface streets, going around cars, as you saw just right there on the right side of your screen, picking up speed once in a while, and now really slowing down, we believe, because of the 4 tires that are flat on this car.
Yeah, we should mention that Desmond Shaw is in Sky 9 overhead, but we haven't been able to get a real close shot like you normally would see, because this is in the South LA area, not too far from LAX airspace. And so Des and our pilot have to be alert to that, and they have to be kind of at a distance because of the airspace with LAX. And so that's why we're not able to get such a tight shot, but still Des doing a great job focusing on this one vehicle here as we start to see a lot more people congregate in the intersections. People are stopping, they're coming out on their cell phones and trying to document it with their cameras. We're also seeing just people gathering at the corners, because as you mentioned, this is the 14th or 15th time they've come to this intersection, and people are starting to see that this is a pattern. They go out there, and whether they just want to see what's going on or just to see this spectacle, it is drawing certainly some crowds in this area of South LA.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. I mean, look, here's a bunch of people now coming out of this. And look, I know we're all stuck at home, really bored out of our minds with coronavirus, with the pandemic going on. And I mean, it is kind of hard to blame these folks, but you got to remember that this guy is potentially armed and dangerous with 7 warrants, and you have no idea what's going on or how desperate this person is. And you're coming out and putting yourself into proximity with that person who's been driving kind of dangerously, who we believe has arms. So it's really the last thing that LAPD wants to see, is these large crowds that gather. But the longer these go on, it is what tends to happen. And I mean, even the one on the freeway, again, I bring it up because this is kind of trending like that pursuit. Even the one on the freeway had people driving to the 10 to get out of their vehicle and pulling over illegally. You know, that's how much people want to be a part of this spectacle. And so, you know, if they're going to do it on the freeways, then it's I guess not much of a surprise that it's happening out here on the surface streets of South LA. This almost came to an end when he hit the back of that truck. That was really, really close. And I saw some people saying that they thought that he actually did hit the truck, but when I saw the front of this Chevy Cruze, it didn't look like he had any damage, even though he was only going about 15 or 20 miles an hour. If he would have hit the back of that solid truck, I mean, he probably would have busted his radiator. You know, that probably would have been the end of it, and then it would have been kind of complicated because you have, you know, he would have collided into the back of an innocent person, and then you have LAPD, and you got a lot of guns in the equation. So even though we don't like to see this go on as long as it is, it may have been for the best that it did not end back there. I believe that was on 46th Street, one of the streets he's been on many, many times,
Boy,
making
a lot of people
a
coming
turn,
out.
and now he's
a
lot of people. And
49th Street.
yeah,
this
now
is,
we're on 45th.
Okay, well, we've called out 49th, 45th,
yeah.
46th,
You're right.
and
You're
South
right.
San Pedro. We've called out those streets all during this pursuit here as it continues just to kind of go around in this neighborhood. Susie, it's interesting to me. You see these people that come out, and obviously just to underscore what Desmond was saying, this is something that police do not want. This is a situation where they don't know when this guy is going to stop, and if they stop and there's a crowd of people, that's just accelerates the danger to those people on the streets and those people that are coming out. And officers are very aware that this person is wanted, is dangerous. He has a weapon. He has assault on 2 police officers as a charge. I mean, this is a dangerous situation. We encourage people to please stay inside.
No, it's true. You know, we see it so often, right, when this happens. I mean, you know, people want to get outside and, you know, like Desmond was talking about, just get it on their social media and post whatnot. But when we talk about armed and dangerous, we're talking about a different person here. You know, we're not talking about, you know, a simple failure to yield. We're talking about something else on a different level here, obviously. Desmond, do you still see those patrol units posted up on nearby intersections as they were earlier?
Yeah, there have been quite a few, really on just about every street. I just wanted to try to get a look in the front of the vehicle here. I doubled in. It gets a little dark, but I want to see it. I don't see any damage to this vehicle if there would have been a collision with that truck. And it looks like there is just the one person in the vehicle there, the one suspect supposedly with 7 watts, who LAPD seems to know who this person is. Let's see, really slowing down again back on Wall Street. This has been another one of the streets where it's almost like he's parading through here now
I would say
to
so.
these people. I can't think, you know, why this would continue to go on. And now look, at a complete stop, and here's the officers out here trying to do their job, and here are all these innocent people. This makes LAPD so nervous. Their job is already so incredibly difficult, and now we could potentially be at the end of this pursuit, and here's, you know, at least a dozen people who are within, you know, throwing distance of this person that has 7 warrants.
Well, they're also in the line of fire.
Yeah.
In the line of fire if something was to happen.
Right, exactly.
That's what's so scary.
I mean, you know, this is a totally unpredictable situation with someone who they believe is armed, and now you have all these people who think they have to come and be a part of this. And you're right, they're in the line of fire. They're within distance of a lot of stuff, and it's already complicated enough to get, you know, officers in here to come and arrest this person and clear the vehicle. And you have all these people just making really light of this situation. It's just stomach curdling to see, frankly.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, and it makes you think about what could happen, Susie, if that driver gets out and he does have a weapon and he levels it at anybody. There's going to be shots, and all those people I could see would be in the line of fire. They're right in front of that vehicle, and you know the officers have their weapons trained on the vehicle, and they're so close by. It's so dangerous.
It looks like they were gesturing, the people out there, as soon as that car stopped, gesturing like no with their hands, waving no. I don't know if that was directed to the police officers or perhaps to the driver. Perhaps they know this person. As we were saying, this person was, they were circling the neighborhood for quite some time. Maybe they are a neighbor of this person. Maybe they live in the same neighborhood. Who knows? We
have seen that before. Remember the young man that went to his home and met with his, I mean, he he got out of the vehicle, and his mom and his dad were there, and the police obviously took him down in front of him. But that was the situation not too long ago where somebody drove, they were on the cell phone, and they went to an area where he could try to get to his mom and dad, at least relatives there, but they were able to put him into custody. But yeah, it could be the same situation here.
And as Desmond is talking about, this is, I mean, it's dangerous on so many levels for these people who are watching. They're spectating, and they just want to be a part of it all. But at the same time, the police officers, they have a job to do right now. They want to get this guy. They want to get him apprehended. They want to put him into custody. But with, I mean, people like that there, I imagine they have to deal with that crowd first before even getting to that car if they have to.
Yeah, and you know, you got to think that some people watching this may think, well, how come the police aren't going up there and telling those people to get back? Well, that's dangerous for them. They have to make sure that they clear the vehicle. So Desmond, you're with the call now. We got the door open. We got the hands out.
Yes, the doors. This is a good sign. The first time we've seen this, and he is getting down now on the ground. It looks like he is going to be surrendering, but the crowd continues to close in on this guy right now. So it's, if anything, they're just getting closer. So hopefully, you know, the situation is diffusing with these people treating it like it's, you know, an action movie or something like that. Just unbelievable how lightly they're taking. It almost makes me wonder if this is what the suspect wanted, if this was why he was circling the same area. We're pretty sure he was on his phone for quite a while. If he was trying to just make as much of a scene as he possibly could, if it was, you know, to brag to friends or whatever. But I can't remember. We've seen crowds gather at the end of pursuits, but never this many people gather and get this close to someone with 7 warrants, a known wanted suspect by LAPD who is believed to be armed and dangerous, and these people are right up on him. LAPD is calling for backup on this to try to get some crowd control. At least the guy is out on the ground, but there's, you know, they're going to have to come and cuff him, and we don't know how agitated this crowd is, what kind of, you know, attitudes they have. If they may have to wait for some backup before they take any further steps.
Yeah, and nothing's going to happen to that crowd until they get that suspect in custody, and then they can go over there and defuse the situation. And of course, they have to clear the vehicle as well. As we know, this is somebody who is armed and dangerous, wanted for assault on 2 police officers in addition to other warrants. So they're going to clear the vehicle. They're going to try to find the weapon before anybody can get up there. We hope that nobody gets into the vehicle before the police do, because that certainly could be a scary situation there as we continue to follow this here. Live on KCAL9, the end of this pursuit, but we're not code 4 quite yet, Susie.
Yeah, it looks like they're working to go clear that car right now. You can see the line of officers there. 2 lines of officers, another going towards the suspect right now. You know, I'm surprised. I'm sure that the police officers, when they got out of their cars, were yelling orders at these people to get out of the way, to get back into their homes. I'm sure that was the case, and they were probably not following those orders. But this is quite the scene here, literally.
And did you see LAPD not only surround the vehicle, but they surrounded the suspect and then created kind of a bubble, if you will, and that's obviously to protect themselves against the people that are starting to gather, but also the suspect and whatnot, because you just never know if somebody wants to try to get to him either. So I thought they did a really good job of de-escalating that, having a large group of officers move towards that group, and thankfully they did not intermingle and nothing happened.
Desmond, could you pull out the shot just a minute just to see how many patrol cars are out there? Because I see so many officers there, and it's, gosh, you know, when we were following the pursuit, you can only see the car right behind him, obviously, but boy, they're probably underneath that tree, too. A lot of units down there.
And more arriving. They're still calling for more backup, and then, of course, they have the helicopter overhead as well. So they have detained the suspect. They'll be putting him away, and then, you know, you talk about that circular motion where they almost kind of set up a skirmish line around the scene, and they need to, they have basically kind of formation tactics that they can use to disperse crowds. So now, look, it's over. The guy's in custody. Very, very, very right now we have some crowd control. Just so fortunate that nothing tragic happened out here when we're dealing, you know, with somebody who is already, you know, allegedly has 7 warrants, a known suspect of a LAPD. But fortunately, they eventually surrendered peacefully. Took a really, really long time, but left a little bit of chaos in his wake.
Got to commend LAPD for getting in there and getting the suspect amid all those people that could have ended up being something worse than what it was. And Susie, LAPD, they get their man, and they also diffuse the situation of the number of people around him.
There are dozens of people out there. You can see it to the left. My goodness, looks like everyone's out of their home watching this happen right now.
And this is going to be a scene for a little while until they tow that car away. That is going to be a crime scene right there. So you see the officers are going to kind of make that that line around the crime scene to keep it clean and whatnot from any sort of people coming in to. They got all kinds of evidence there, so they don't want to destroy any of that. So we're kind of seeing this live, but we know the suspect now in custody.
Desmond, are you seeing more units arrive now?
I'm hearing about more on the way. They're coming lights and sirens, I believe, from downtown LA and other parts of South LA to come up to the area. Really not sure why the crowd hasn't even dispersed at this point. I mean, now it's not even a spectacle. The only spectacle is what they're making of themselves by standing out here. It was already very unwise to come out and be involved in this. You got way too close. Okay, well, you got away with it. You're safe. Nothing bad happened to you. It's over. It's time to go, back inside your homes now. Let LAPD wrap up this investigation, search the vehicle for any evidence that may be connected, in these 7 warrants. There's no. We all saw what unfolded on camera. This was a wanted suspect. LAPD conducting themselves with the utmost professionalism here, but for whatever reason, all these people are still gathered out here making a big deal about this.
Yeah, but it looks like they're making skirmish line to the front of that car, to the side of that car now, so that people can't get any closer.
Yeah, that's just going to be kind of you see them going through the vehicle. They're just going to have to wait until a tow truck comes and takes that vehicle away because it is damaged. There's no way they can drive it out of there. Of course, this is evidence and an investigation. The suspect now in custody, at least 7 warrants that we're aware of, armed and dangerous, and that includes those charges of assault on police officers, we believe, out of Torrance. So that's a very serious charge. They want to protect and gather any evidence that they can inside that vehicle. So, Susie, this is going to be a crime scene for a little while anyway.
And as we were talking about surface streets in South LA and just, going in circles, and perhaps this person knew the area or perhaps was from this area. Perhaps these are all his neighbors coming out and saying, hello, or, coming out to support him. Who knows? I saw one guy with his cell phone in hand and waving at the helicopter. Maybe that was to you, Desmond, I don't know. But, these are things that people want to be involved with right now, and it's very dangerous. We're going to turn it over to KCAL9 News at 9 for more on the end of this pursuit.